We had over about 300 RSVPs, and we were trying to let people get in, so I guess they're straggling. We are happy to have all but one artist here. One of them is remote. It was kind of a Herculean effort to kind of get all these guys in here all at the same time. So thank you, gentlemen, for attending, and thank you, Donnell, for agreeing to moderate. Barbara, would you like to come up and say a few words? So, and by the way, I'm Derek Price, the Executive Director of the Eubie Blake. Barbara is my co-curator for the show. Thank you.
Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for coming. I think that, first of all, I love working with this man. I'm not saying that because he's standing there. And also, I love working with every last one of these artists. And you too, Rigo, from the DR. You know, every last one of these artists that bring the best of the best to us, to the community, at a time when we need assistance, right? At a time we need a space of peace. At a time we need to look at the fears that we have and the frustrations that are happening in this country and around the world. But through these wonderful black men, yes. Give a hand, come on. We are able to see through a lens, through so many walks of life, through so many heartfelt experiences, and through so much honesty, that I am so proud to be a part of this program and this exhibition. And hey y'all, hey Baltimore, peace out. So thank you so much for everyone, for everything you bring to the table, because your energy in this space is a part of the exhibition, is a part of the Eubie Blake Cultural Center. We are a community, we're a collective, and we're going to do this thing. Thank you so much.
Anything else to say? Well, welcome, guys. I'll do.
Oh, sorry.
You want me to do the intro? I'll do the intro.
Oh, I guess you're doing later.
What'd you say? Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alma Roberts. I am the 9th child of William Lincoln Roberts, Sr., who, when I was born, gave up his art to be the best father in the whole world. And fast forward to, I think it was 2007, the family started a family fund to support literary and visual events. And we don't do a lot, because we're a small family fund. But we have picks of goodies, and this is one. This is exceptional. I've known almost all of these guys for a good while, and have admired their exceptional creativity. And to be able to marry this incredible group with my beloved Baltimore, and help bring this to us, all of us here, and the hundreds that came to see this show, has been a great joy. I thank Derek and Barbara and all those who came out, and I especially thank you all for your wonderful heart and capabilities.
Next up, we have Dr. Lamar Darnell Shields, who will be moderating this afternoon, evening. So welcome, and it's all yours. You can introduce yourself.
All right. You just love your family. You got his long bio. You're going to just say two things. It's my cousin perhaps. He just came home. We just dusted him off. And now he's here. Barbara, Alma, Derek, and also I need to mention Bobby. Just thank you all for giving me this opportunity. What's interesting, last night I was at an event hosted by Alma's niece, which is almost like the total opposite of sort of where we are. It was stories about us who didn't make it. It was about black and brown boys who speak Spanish and English who didn't get to sit at this table because somebody told them that they wouldn't make it. And so this is an honor for me to host this. You have this group from PA. It's like the Baltimore Bullets against the Philadelphia 76ers. But they got LeBron James, and I don't know what we got over there. What we got? So before I introduce these amazing artists, I paint with words. I grew up in the third largest city, the south side of Chicago, and I moved here and became a teacher, but I've always been a writer. And when Derek asked me to participate, I probably asked him more than he asked me, because I knew the Baltimore crew, but then when I came to the opening, and then I saw the crew from PA, and then my Dominican brother, he and I had a great exchange about me living and growing up in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. It was just a connection. And so I decided that I said, I want to write something to introduce what we're doing, because it really made me think about why we do what we do as artists. Our art was never decoration. I want y'all to marinate with that, because most of us, my mama, we buy art just to make sure it fits in a certain place. But that's not why we do art. So our art is not decoration. You see, they told us our stories were too loud, too black, too rooted in drums and dirt and in memory, but we kept painting anyway. With fingers dripped in grandmother's prayers, with color stolen from sunsets over West Baltimore and North Philly row homes, with jazz notes sliding across the brick walls like ancestors refusing to sit quietly in history books. You see, we created murals out of mourning, turned pain into portrait, turned survival into sculpture, turned broken sidewalks into runways for children carrying galaxies in their skin. Our art was never decoration. It was a warning flare, a love letter, a freedom song with acrylic edges, a fist wrapped in poetry. Every brushstroke said, I am still here. Every photograph whispered, look closer. Every dancer's foot against the floor summoned names the world tried to erase. We are the descendants of people who made rhythm out of chains. Let me say that again. We are the descendants of people who made rhythms out of chains, who braided maps into hair, who sang while wounded and still found a way to create beauty. This is what we call melanated art. Not just pigment, but memory, not just culture, but ceremony, not just expression, but resurrection. So when we create, we don't ask for permission. You see, we carry too many ancestors inside our hands to make our world look small. Before there were museums, our grandmothers made galleries out of kitchen walls, out of church hats, out of collard green trees, rising like holy incense from dented pots. Before there were stages, Poncho, our uncles turned corners into concert halls, used milk crates for drums, and preached survival through cracked speakers that shook entire blocks awake. Our art has always lived where people least expected it. On the sides of carry-out buildings, let me say it, on the sides of carry-out buildings, inside the stitching of quilts, inside double Dutch rhymes, inside a slow sway of somebody cleaning the house on a Saturday morning while Frankie Beverly played like medicine through the speakers. You see, our art was never decoration. It was instruction. A coded language passed from ancestor to child, a warning system, a healing balm, a survival guide wrapped inside rhythm and color. When enslaved Africans could not read the laws written against them, they read the stars instead. They sang directions into spirituals, braided escape routes into hair, tapped messages through walls, turned sorrow into song, because sometimes music was the only place left where freedom could breathe. And somehow, repeat after me, and somehow, even after all of that, after ships, after whips, after policies designed to bury us beneath statistics and stereotypes, we still create beauty. Point at them and say, they still create beauty. Point at them and say, they still create beauty. That alone is a miracle. Look at us. Brothers, look at us. We turn sidewalks into dance floors, turn poetry into protest, turn grief into gospel, turned abandoned buildings into canvases that scream, we were here. We take the broken pieces and make mosaics. We take the silence of Eubie Blake and make jazz. We take the pain of teaching how to sing. This is what art, or this is what black art does. It says to the world that you may overlook us, misname us, underfund us. Let me say it again. You may overlook us, misname us, underfund us, fear us, erase us from textbooks, steal from our culture, copy our rhythm, commercialize our brilliance, and still we create. Because creation is a birthright. There is a painter right now mixing blues and golds while thinking about their grandmother's hands. There is a young boy writing rhymes in the back of class trying to survive a world that keeps calling him dangerous before it calls him gifted. There is a girl dancing barefoot in her bedroom, mirror discovering that her body does not have to apologize for taking up space. There is an elder telling stories on a porch without realizing their voice alone is living literature. And somewhere our ancestors smiled over every single time of our choices, our creation instead of destruction. That smile is the inheritance of our art that was never decoration. It was the bridge between what happened to us and who we still dare to become. It was the thing we carried when everything else was taken. A drum, a paintbrush, a hymn, a poem, a photograph, a dance, a story passed hand to hand like a fire. And maybe that's why our art hits differently. Because it was born not from convenience, but from necessity. Not from comfort, but courage. Not from excess, but survival. So when I write, I don't write alone. There are ancestors leaning over my shoulder. There are freedom fighters inside my vows. There are church mothers inside my metaphors. There are children yet unborn waiting inside my courage for proof that beauty can survive. And so we create. I create. Our art was never decoration. It was always a revolution. Wearing color. I thank you. So I'm going to start right here with Brother Ainsley. We're going to make our way down. Brother Ainsley, introduce yourself and tell us what first called you to become an artist.
My name is Ainsley Burrows, and first I wanted to be an artist. I don't know, I'm a poet. At my core, I'm a poet, and I think that came from growing up around my great-grandmother, and she only spoke in metaphor. It's never been a straight, do this. It's, oh, what sweet nanny goes like a running belly. And you're like, okay. What? So my brain starts thinking like that, and I think that's what it is.
Gonna keep it going. Thank you. Let's give it up for Brother Ainsley. Introduce yourself. What first called you to become an artist?
Tell us who you are.
Yes.
I'm Ernest from West Baltimore. I literally used to sit at my mother's feet, crisscross applesauce, and watch her paint. My parents had a 2-bedroom apartment in Carver Hall, apartment building on 1411 Division Street, 1 block away from where 3rd and Marshall grew up, Christ and Fumi. But they used to exhibit the artwork of local artists in that 2-bedroom apartment. So at a very young age, not only did I experience seeing my mother paint, I saw black art in the early 70s on the wall of African women and children, painted by people who lived across the street. And may Cocky McQueen, may he rest in power. That's the first artist work I saw of it.
Thank you. Brother Jeffrey.
Thank you to Eubie Blake for this opportunity, first of all. And my name is Jeffrey Kent. I'm a Baltimore-based artist. And what drove me to be an artist? That's what I'm saying. I would say Crayola. And when I think about the simplicity of where my inspiration really started was playing with crayons. And then it just the trajectory just kept going from there.
Brother Poncho.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully this mic is, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm a second generation artist of a teenage parent that gave up his dream of being an artist to take care of his family. Long sentence, but that's my beginning. So I've always had art around me. As early as I can remember, I was watching my self-taught father paint and draw. And it was second nature. It just became another language in my house. I also had a mother who doodled. So between the two of them, I was bound to keep it up. So I give this creative energy as a lineage span. It took me a long time to accept the fact that half of the things I take credit for are from the ancestors.
Thank you, Brother Prettyman.
My name is Jerry Prettyman. Can I be heard?
Yes.
Jerry Prettyman. And my parents were military parents. And I was all over the world until 1968. My father moved to Baltimore. I ended up in Baltimore. And I was an only child. And for me, drawing cartoons, I was probably 6 years old, just drawing cartoons on paper. And I had an uncle. I'm originally from the south side of Chicago, Calumet.
Oh, I did not know that.
And I had an uncle who worked for the post office. Amazing man. And I went up to his little colonial top floor. And I saw he did a chicken, a rooster. And to this day, I'm 78 years old. To this day, I still look at that rooster. It almost brings tears to my eyes. He was so dedicated. He wanted to be a master of Poncho from. He wanted to be a full-time artist. And he took me through his studio and showed me his painting. The smell of the oils, everything just kind of stuck to me. And to this day, I give him a lot of credit as well. And that's my beginning story.
Thank you. Brother Smith.
Hi, my name is Anthony Smith.
Yes.
When I think about that question, I mean, there's so many stories that come to mind. I'm gonna have value-based artist. When I think about that question, I think about several formative experiences, but the one that comes to mind most is when I decided that this is something I wanted to do. I think that's a better way of answering the question from my perspective. Is when I went to this gallery. Take airport, but it's mostly a frame shop.
Anthony, I want you to speak a little louder.
So can you hear me?
There we go.
Yeah. So when I was a kid, there was a gallery in my hometown, and they had a small exhibition space, but it was mostly a frame shop. And I saw this black man who was a landscape painter, and that's one of the genres that I'm painting. And when I saw him, I saw that this was possible. I didn't know that, that a person could make money at this thing, this art thing, because I too grew up, playing with crayons, and it's so ironic that we are from the land of crayons. And the ironic, Easton is where crayons come from, and that's how I ever thought that it was like a pastime, or I thought like a little thing that you do to, so you can have some, creative joy, I guess, in life when you're not working, But I saw that this black man was he made beautiful paintings. I wish I could remember his name. But when I saw him there with his work and painting away, demonstrating what he did, I was like, wow, you can do this thing. And so that's when I thought, okay, I need to reserve room in the back of my mind for the possibility that I could do this thing. And I never thought that it was going to be something that I would pursue until I went into graduate school, almost practically, which is late to decide if you want to be an artist. But when I thought that it was impossible, I was like, I need to actually reserve a space where I can do this.
Thank you. Charles.
Charles Stonewall. I'm from the Lehigh Valley. And it's interesting that the word Creole keeps coming up.
I'm really proud of this because I'm actually from Eastern Pennsylvania, where Crayola crowns actually.
Wow.
That's
Drop a little down there.
But I never was one to stay within the lines. I will say that right now. I'm a photographer, and I'm very proud of it because what it does, it allows me to bring forth the necessary voice. I'm an activist. I can do this with the artwork that I create, not just with photography, but I'm also a collaborator with artists who have skills that I don't have. So it's a blending of theater, it's a blending of so many different aspects just to get the necessary voice out there. I strongly encourage you, look at the pictures closely. This is in the category of fine arts. It's not 100% clear. It is not commercial art, but there are clues in the picture. And it also helped me raise my voice. And what I mean by that is, as an early age, I tend to be very, very shy. That has pretty much evaporated. Now I look at myself as being a portrait photographer, which means I'm going to look you directly in the face to get your picture, so that you get to see yourself, and I get to see me too. So we are part of the necessary voice.
Thank you, Brother Frank. Brother Johnson, then Brother Rigo.
Yeah, this is Al Johnson. And to answer the question, I was blessed by having two parents that were very supportive of me. My father was a jazz musician, and my mom, she played the organ and piano in the church. So at an early age, I was constantly being told to go to my room, and that's where all my sketch pads and all my drawing stuff was, and so on. It wasn't as though I knew what I wanted to do. I just felt that art was just the natural succession for me to go into, especially since my father said, you're 16, you need to get your own place. We lived in a 3-bedroom house with 8 siblings. So I learned how to make something work. So I was a juggler between music, painting, and art. And here I am.
Thank you. Are we going to hear from Rigo? Okay. All right, so Rigo, introduce yourself and tell us the first thing that you want to share about being an artist. There is mine. And Brother Al said his dad said 16 years old, he got a phone. I'm like, dang, I'm behind the times. My son 45. 16. Rigo, have you able to hear us?
Yeah, now.
We're going to see whether this works, y'all.
We're going to see if you can. So Rigo, introduce yourself and tell us what was the first, when you felt that you were called to be an artist, what was that like?
I didn't hear that. Can you repeat that again for me, please?
So we want you to introduce yourself and then tell us what first called you to become an artist.
My name is Rigo Peralta, and I was born in Dominican Republic, and I started very early to paint. I remember I started learning the age of 10 to 11 to paint. Thanks to one of my uncles that gave me a set of colors. And then I started just experiment with these colors. And by the age of 14, I took a test in the School of Fine Art in the Dominican Republic, and I was accepted at that age. And that's where my whole story started.
All right, can you give a round of applause for all the artists? Thank you. So let's go right to it, and anyone can answer this question. Rigo's still talking. He can't hear us.
What is motivating me to create the Afro-Caribbean series. The Afro-Caribbean are celebrating the rich cultural heritage, history, and identity of people of African descent through the Caribbean. I blend African tradition with Caribbean influence, expressing resilience, spirituality, migration, and cultural memory, different colors, symbolic imaginary, and storytelling. In this series, navigating across the Caribbean, through this project, I tried to accomplish my deepest connection to Afro-Caribbean roots by exploring themes of ancestry, movement, identity, and below in my work reflect the enduring strength of this heritage while honoring the journey, struggle, and cultural legacy that continue to share the Caribbean experiences. The first people of mixing African returned in the 16th century as a result of mixing of European and African in the colony of Dominican Republic. So my question is, what represents us as Afro-descendant is not where we were born, it's where we coming from. We coming from Africa, and that's what we representing us. And that's what I try to do, portray on my painting.
All right, thank you. Which is a great segue to the question for all of you guys about the question about identity and culture. So how has your experience as a Black man shaped your artistic voice? Start with you, Poncho. Just, how has your experience as a Black man shaped your artistic voice?
It's hard to separate the two. I see the world through a particular lens. I try to bring light to the different nuances of who we are as people. I came at a time when I saw a lot of civil rights paintings and Southern themed paintings or things that are attached to the church, but being able to be in a position to capture other essences of who we are is something that I've been really enjoying doing. As a Black man, though, however, it's very limited because people have a preconceived notion of what they expect from me. And often when I create my work, I'm trying to dispel what those stereotypes might be.
So Charles, as a photographer, I want you to respond to that because you made a statement about how you look directly at someone's. You're looking at them directly, and when you look at them directly, are you coming from your experience as a Black man, how you perceive people, how they perceive you? Same question as I asked Brother Poncho. How does your journey as a Black man affect how you maybe even look as a photographer and as a painter?
In the realms of portraiture, it's kind of twofold. One, I think it has helped me overcome my shyness. Two, if I'm actually photographing someone, they may be coming to me, they're asking for their picture. But it's a different thing when I'm asking them to come to me so we do a collaborative piece together, such as the pictures that you might see on display downstairs, for instance. Two of those pictures downstairs are actually during the year of 2020. That's very specific because we went through quite a bit with 2020. We know that was the year of COVID. It was much, much more than COVID. We had to, as again, bring up the necessary voice by police brutality for that matter, how imbalanced that really was. So there was a way of making images that I think created more of a louder voice for that, in that respect.
Anybody else want to respond to that question?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I think the way I respond to that is I think that my Blackness is rooted also in my queerness and my Americanness. And I think it's all kind of for me, it's all things that I get to invent. So I feel incredibly permitted. I don't see restriction because I feel that our identity is sort of has been manufactured. And since it was conjured by someone else, I feel like I have permission to construct my identity in whatever way I feel. And so I see my sort of blackness through the lens of like everything's possible, and I try to make sure that my art, is very pregnant with that. Very full of all the ways that I feel like I want to express myself. So, which is why it embraces density and color, and I don't shy away from telling all the stories simultaneously without fear. And so I see courage, to embrace the multiple in my work, and I think that's how I want to, showcase my sort of blackness and my masculinity.
Okay. So I want to talk about our styles, and as we've gotten more seasoned, as we've gotten a little older as artists. Go with Jeffrey Kent. Then Brother Johnson, you can not call you an old dude, Jeffrey.
I'm definitely an old dude.
So, Brother Jeffrey, how has your artistic style changed as you've grown older, and in what ways? And then, Brother Johnson, I want you to follow with that.
I'm going to answer both questions. So first, I didn't like being called a black artist when I first started making art because I wasn't trained in being an artist. I just made art because I wanted to. And because I was a self-taught artist, a lot of the art that I made in the beginning of my lifestyle as an artist was crap, from my opinion, today. Now, how it evolved is when I went to Michael for my master's degree. And that's when I learned about art theory. And I learned that even an abstract painting has a meaning if you know what you're doing. So that's, I think, how my art has changed over time. Now I know what I'm doing when I do what I do. And before I was just doing what I wanted to do. And they're not the same.
Good job.
Then Ainsley, I want you to respond to that as well.
Yes, so I wear my blackness like an armor. So my approach with the experience that I've had over the years, starting from doing commercial work as an artist and developing my life through the lens of a fine artist. There were several different grounds that I had to cross over and accomplish. And so my purpose in creating my art actually became, exactly how I breathe, how I exist. It became like my voice. So, there's a better way to explain it. That's what I have.
Ainsley, as you've gotten older, how has your art changed?
I think mostly I've learned how to confront all the things that make me me, right? And I also, because I think when I was younger, I just wanted to make beautiful art, or things that look good, and sometimes the art it don't want to be beautiful. So now I have to figure out the parts of myself that I've been avoiding in the beauty. So the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, so this thing that happened here that you've been avoiding, maybe that's what the art should be about. And the more I go into that, like we were talking earlier, the more I go into that, is the more I start appreciating the art I make more. And I think that's when other people start saying, hey, I like that, because I'm in it, or who I am as a part of the art.
So, I'll go ahead, Poncho, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I began as we all have different origins. I started as a commercial artist. I went to Carver Vocational Technical High School. I learned graphic design at that school. I later went to Miami and studied graphic design. So I never took really painting and illustration courses. That was something I did in my free time. And so my work has changed as a result of the different techniques I've learned along the way. My earlier work was more airbrushy because that was the culture I was in at that time, you know. But now my work has become more simplistic. My subjects are now becoming, like everyone else's, more honest and more authentic. Before, in the 80s when I started, I was painting to appease an audience. And at this stage of the game, I'm no longer doing that. The pieces that are represented in this show represent a cross-section of my portfolio that addresses those hard issues. You know, when you look at it, you see this is a definite awakening to the things that I feel. For the longest time, I felt I was watering down the subject matter of my work because it didn't contain the blackness I wanted to put into it. And so it's nice to be free in this current time to be able to do whatever I feel like I should.
So we're going to talk about the artwork in the exhibit. I want you guys to zoom in on that. But I want to jump on something that you said. I know this brother right here is cold Baltimore, Brother Ernest Shaw. How has being from Baltimore influenced your work? And I want you and my homeboy I did not know was from Chicago, Brother Prettyman, to respond to that. And I'm going to take it to my Pennsylvania folks as well. But how has Baltimore influenced your work? And then Brother Prettyman, I want you to follow up.
How has Baltimore influenced my work?
Yeah.
Father was a steel worker. Worked at Bethlehem Steel. Found out my grandfather worked at Bethlehem Steel. And then my brother and I worked at Bethlehem Steel. And I say that to say you'd be hard pressed to find someone in Baltimore who didn't or benefit in some way, shape, or form from Bethlehem Steel, Western Electric. Y'all know I'm naming them. Post office. Social Security. Right? So Baltimore, very blue collar, very sincere, authentic people here. And you know, I really don't have a lot to say about that, but I chose to stay.
But your work reflects, like, when I look at your work, because I know your work, I know many of the brothers' work as well, but yours, because we spent some time together, but your work reflects Baltimore so much. And that's why I asked that question for you, because I think of all, like, you call Baltimore, you let everybody know where you're from, that's where I am.
How is that called?
It's not a bad thing, man. It's not a bad thing. So to hear your root, Brother Prettyman, how has Baltimore influenced your work? And then, Brother Johnson, I'm going to go down to you as well.
When I first came to Baltimore back in the early 60s, I met Baby Williams. And Baby did this piece of Crime Child. Baby was one of the more articulate people that I ever met that really talks about art, what it really means to him. And what he was saying when I was even young, it meant the same thing to me. Art has always been my life, always, since I was 6 years old. And I met Ernest at the Coma Gallery, and I met all the older guys in town. You know, just kind of hanging out doing art, talking about music. And I was a jazz guy ever since I was 6 years old. I still am. Without jazz music, I can't paint. Somebody said, draw something or something. I can't draw, but you put some music on there, you're going to work it out. Some jazz music. And, you know, I used to go down to the famous ballroom, and that was my hangout back in the day. And so Bowman, it's like I said, Bowman's a blue town, blues town, blue collar town. So it's a jazz town, blue collar town. And I met a lot of artists, a few that he mentioned. You know, we just kind of hang out, just talk, just kind of figure out where we fit in, where do we fit in. And most of us didn't fit in. And for me, I didn't think highly of the work. I really looked at some good artists. I didn't think very highly of myself. But it was still me, and I was still going to do the art. I was still going to create the art. And something what Poncho said I do. I was doing art to kind of self. about what it really created. And now it's strictly about creativity. And a lot of you, who you are, comes out with all that. It means a lot. Like I said, I was an only child, so you get in trouble, you know, that anybody would talk to you or whatever. But the art always talked to me, always, and still does. If I'm working on a piece, and things are not going right, the art tells me immediately you need to do something else. So you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. The art is my day. The art is my day. The art tells me, you know, I was trying to work on something the other day. And the thing looked like I was in the 3rd grade. And I'm like, okay, Dad, you got it. I'm gonna do something else, but you know, I think being in Baltimore has been an experience. I was pretty good at it. I used to play basketball. I used to be a playground director at Tawanda. Good old Tawanda. And so all the guys in Bullard used to come in, and a lot of guys that play, you know, basketball and black folk, that's a whole other thing. But if you can show yourself on the court, you know, you accept it. I've never been tall, but you know, you show yourself on the court, you may accept it. So I met a lot of guys, and I met some artists that came down with me. Strangely enough, you know, we talk. But I think it's a lot like Ernest is saying, almost a blue collar town, it's a close town. You know, most areas you go, you got black areas, you got whatever that you catch on. Baltimore is certainly a blue collar town. And I'm gonna say this since I got this mic, but I'm not gonna say when I met my main man, Poncho. He was a young guy, and he was just kind of always an advocate for artists, always. I'm almost old enough to be his man. But Poncho's always been kind of an advocate for artists and the energy that he puts out. And I really admire that. I just wanted to say that since I got this mic. Just being around him, it's energy. It's always, every time I turn around, it's something else. What you doing? I'm in California. I told you yesterday, I'm in California. But this energy, this advocacy for the artists is a major piece. I think just coming together as artists, it adds to the process.
Thank you, thank you. Al, so you can clap for that. How, where you from? Are you from PA in Philly?
No, I'm actually from New York.
Oh, so how has New York influenced your how you think, how you approach art?
I'll tell you like this here. I have cousins here in Baltimore. On Harlem Avenue. My first time here was in '85, and then the next time I came here was when HBO hired me to do a location scout to do storyboards for The Wire. So I did all the sketches before they started shooting. 80 scenes here. I would come and we do, like rough sketches of what the scene is going, what the actions are going to take place, and where cameras can be located and so on. And then there was something else about the energy that I like about Baltimore. And call it what you want, but it's like it's a raw energy. It's a sincere energy. It's there's a frequency from our people. Like, for instance, if you've ever been in, say, Harlem, New York, you know what it's like coming up out of the subway and all you're seeing is your folks. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's that energy that I connected with, or I connect with here in Baltimore. That I still feel. It's good. I feel like I'm home. I feel safe. I feel the strength, and it's like I just feel like this is a place where you put out your best, because it's like, it doesn't get much better than here in terms of that kind of energy. Everything else is kind of watered down. You know, I can go back to Pennsylvania, I can go back to New York, but it's different. It's not the same as here. I've lived in many places. I've lived in Atlanta, even Washington, D.C., but there's nothing like Baltimore. And I'm not just saying because I'm here. It's not my show. Trying to meet me out at 3 o'clock.
No, I love that. I want to jump into the exhibit downstairs. And you all have some amazing, I don't know if you all have seen the work, just amazing pieces that are down there. Out of the pieces that are there, and we're going to see it once we leave, if you have not seen it, which one of those pieces is really a reflection, like, if someone say, that's Al right there, that's Charles, that's Rigo, that's Ainsley. Which one of the pieces downstairs is just a representation of, like, sort of just who you, that embodies who you are as an artist? Like, which one of those pieces down there? And anyone, Rigo, if you can hear us as well, because we're going to talk about the exhibit. Which one? What you got, Brother Ken?
All of mine.
It's like when I was teaching, I tell my students, if I'm asking a question, don't look at me. Oh, your Brother Jeffrey looking right at me. So again, when you think about the exhibit, is there one that's a reflection? It's like, I always ask this question, like, see, like, I like theme music. Like, Mama, I don't know, like, if you walked in the room and there was a song that was playing, like, mine is Fight the Power, 1989, Another Summer, Sound of the Funky Drum. I graduated high school in 89. I told my children when I die, that's the song I want y'all to play.
Mine is We Want the Funk.
See, there we go. See, I'm setting them up. See, that's why I chose my stone.
We Want the Funk.
There we go.
Hey, so paintings, no, they're not paintings. All of my artworks. I'm sitting all the way back. All of my artworks down there reflect me because they're all personal stories. To be clear about the black thing.
Keep talking. Derek has to do the
but we know you're a different mic.
Yeah, he's a different mic. So which one of the pieces in the exhibit, I want all you to think about, that's like, that's a deep.
And so,
I think Derek turned up.
You heard my bad ass voice.
No.
I don't need that. I can hear you. That's for sure. That's my voice. The reason I say all of my artworks down there really reflect me because they really are self-portraits. And my point about when I mentioned earlier about being a black artist, that I can't escape it.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to label it. And they're all me. It's me. The couple of artworks down there are self-portraits of me wearing hoodies, so that reflect me. And all of them have reverse text because I grew up undiagnosed dyslexic. And so it's all me.
Like Poncho?
I have 2 pieces downstairs. It's more like me. I have one piece called Surrender. It's a circular piece. It's burned into a circle. That piece was actually created right after my studio fire in 1995. And it's a commentary of what I felt at that particular period. His nudity represented the vulnerability of this situation. There's an African symbol that means fear no one except God, which many people miss. But the other one that's probably me, there's a piece called The Killing Game, where I had always made this comment about how gun charts look like black people. And I go to the firing range regularly, and I have these charts, I roll them up, I throw them away, and I was inspired to take those charts that I used to create that series of pieces that spoke to a lot of the Freddie Gray incidents, all the police brutality. That piece is more like me and how I feel than anything downstairs, because that's the dark side of how I feel about work. Still trying to figure out how to not make it be too intrusive on the viewer, but enough to engage your viewer. And so if you see that piece, you're essentially looking at me and how I feel in my blackness.
Love that. Let's keep it going, Brother Prettyman.
I guess for me, the piece called In the Moments, it's basically about black women and how strong black women really are. I'm a mama's boy. My mama raised me. I would do anything for that woman. And when I went to Africa and talked to women artists over there, and I was trying to look at their art, I was trying to create more of the African. I'm learning, as I was growing as an artist, the African piece, I learned a lot. I grew a lot. I love the design piece. I had Dr. Lewis at Portrait, and he really got me started with this African art and what it really means to be art. The art was never created to be put on a wall, correct lighting. So I think it was more cultural, traditional. And it meant something. And I tried to incorporate those in terms of where they're coming together. So you'll see a lot of design pieces, a lot of color pieces, layered. What I do, I layer the work. And so for me, in the moment for this particular exhibition is kind of reflects the women being strong.
Very.
And I've actually witnessed my grandmother. She was the same way strong. You know, a lot of people, strong black woman in the house, basically ran the house, did what Mama said, that kind of, especially my generation, did what Mama said. And it meant a lot. It grew me as a man. It helped me out as a man to grow. So I hope that piece, take a look at it and let me know what you think.
Thank you.
Anthony.
Thank you. The piece that's downstairs, I think I worked on the most, and it kind of broke something in me. It's a sculptural work that's rotating. And my titles are obnoxious. I'm actually long, but I'll tell you this one. It's called The Great Time Hambone Reads, Invented People Should Not Play Great Roles. And it's sort of a lesson. And because I think that we are constructed and we shouldn't be planned by other people's rules, we should invent our own. And it kind of represents a philosophy that I think that we should do, what we should employ. And I think that artists are in a unique position to teach the public, black artists in particular, and that we don't have to play by other people's rules. We can make them up our own. We can change them. We can alter them. But I made it into a Mobius strip, which is a three-dimensional projection of a fourth-dimensional object, to show how difficult it is to do it. And so it's kind of like a piece that says that you should try to change the rules, but don't be naive about how difficult it is. Because we oftentimes rebel and we create the structures that you're trying to overcome. So that's why there's like victory in the piece, but then you see setback. And so it's kind of like weaving in and out, and that's how the hair kind of wraps around and recoils, and there's like so it's basically like a lesson. And I think that that's kind of what my artwork often does. It tells stories, it weaves stories. It doesn't tell you how to read it. It doesn't tell you which direction to go into. But if you sit with it long enough, you kind of get what the point is. And I feel like that's what I like about art in general. The art that I like, the dense, pregnant art that doesn't give you a space to calm down. Just a resting point. I feel like the universe is dense, and our need to always sort of reduce it down is kind of like a falseness. I think it's kind of like laughable. There is a higher being up there that probably laughing or compulsion to try to reduce things, And so I think that I try to make work that helps people to sit with the pregnant, sit with the dense, and like it'll be okay with it, you know, and okay with the noise, okay with the density, you know, and I always try to look for, you know, a calm space that I think it kind of can help when, like, you know, you see oppression, you see, like, you know, destruction, you see despair. If you can just kind of sit with it, just sit there, like, you know, accept it, like, you know, a lot of the world is always going to be that way, you know, and I think it's like an antidote in a way, or at least a way of, like, you know, not always being caught in trauma and like victim all the time. So.
Thank you, Charles.
It's difficult to choose between your kids, you know? My work is, they're all my favorites.
Yeah.
But the one, if I had to single one out, is called Rising Above the Trees. It is the one of the little child in the basement. This is in my mind, a very spiritual picture. All of us, every single human being on this planet is a spiritual being in a human body. So, but you don't fully realize the potential you may have as a kid, or even as you grow older. But eventually you'll realize what your gifts are. So it's no accident that the little boy is dressed as Superman, so to speak, to symbolize the power that he would have, okay? It's no accident that he's in the basement, another metaphor, so to speak, in spirituality. But also, he's looking out the window of possibilities. And there's, by specific, it's the title, Rising Above the Trees, looking at things with a different perspective, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, that image actually came to me in a dream. So all the pictures are an aspect of me, so to speak. And they're also very collaborative. So it's a joint effort for all of us.
Amazing.
All right. Well, if I had to speak to what my favorite work would be in the show, I'd have to say the three pieces that are together as not necessarily as a triptych, but it's also it's a tribute to my father. My father was a saxophone player. He was self-taught to read music, and I have his manuscripts from 1952 to 1962. These are handmade charts that he wrote, and paper is it's turning to dust. It's turning to dust. So as a mixed media artist, I used his artwork of his handwritten sheet music scripture, because back in those days in the 50s they didn't have whiteout. So if you mess up someplace, you got to start all over again. So I took a few of the charts and I embellished them inside of my narrative. And so the sheet music with the it's telling a story about the moments sitting in the basement with my father, alluding to something about the phonetics and the energy, the spirits. So
Thank you.
thank you for letting me share that.
Yes, no, thank you. Ainsley. So the pieces that you hear, which piece is not favorites, which one really sort of connects with you? Like if there's a piece that is who I am right there.
I think it's in the long room. It's the blue piece. It's called Long and Complicated History of America. And I'm from a very long line of people who burn stuff down, cause a lot of havoc, and change things. I was born in Jamaica, and like that's just a part of the culture of Jamaica and Jamaican people. And when I came to Baltimore, the first night here when we moved in, I was just like antsy, like I needed to paint. And I was like, I need to paint. And that's the first thing I painted in Baltimore. I started about 9 o'clock at night. I painted until probably about 4 o'clock. went to sleep, woke up, and painted until about 9 or 10 o'clock the next day. Not knowing, just because I'm a writer, I'm a poet, and sometimes you get a vibe, it's an energy. Just so you're like, oh, I have to write this down. And that's what it was for that painting. Then I found out later that it's on the red line. That where we live is on the exact where the line where the red line was on Green Mountain. And I was like, oh, that's probably the energy I was picking up. So that painting energy and that thing is like me confronting American history. And I felt it when we moved in here. And it's just a lot of chaos, but it's like I'm trying to find a solution to this chaos. And the energy that people talk about in Baltimore, I think is survival despite everything.
Yes.
Like the people in Baltimore have so much love in them because they had to have that much love in them to survive the chaos of this country. It's a deep water port. That means a lot of ships came to it, carrying whatever energy or whatever, and I think that's the energy that artists in Baltimore are confronting, whether it's musicians, painters, it's this battle over that energy. And it's still here, and the joy is just the thing that nullifies the chaos. So that's my favorite piece.
Alex, Rigo, we're going to wrap up with you. I have one more question I'm going to take to the audience. My brother right here, Ernest. Think about your Ernest, when you think about your pieces, which one is a reflection of sort of who you are?
So, I have to be honest. The piece in the show that resonates.
Yeah, I'm online.
Yeah, we can hear you, Rigo. Give us 1 second.
The piece that resonates most with me is not one of my pieces.
Okay.
It's actually Jeffrey's piece.
Okay. And we're going to talk about that. That's my last question. I'm going to get that exchange, but I want yours first, because we're going to wrap up with that. So hold on.
I can't talk about it.
Yeah, you can, but I want your piece. Because what you're about to say is what I want you to have a conversation, okay? All right, go ahead. See, he only let me talk to him. He don't let nobody else talk to him like that. Y'all can learn me. You going to cut my wisdom, God? No, go ahead. We're going to do that. That's what I want to end with that. All right, okay, there we go. I want yours.
It's hard to choose because all the work is consistent.
Okay.
And it's about not proving the humanity of my subjects. Okay. Mostly young black males, the academically poorest performing demographic in school. We were educators. And I say academic because that's not a reflection of their character. But what's important about the work for me is that we are not proving our humanity to anyone. That's over and done. And I learned that from my students, from the young people. They're not here to prove. You know, if they want to wear a do-rag and a bonnet, they're going to do
BJ, just don't go to Tuskegee University right here. If y'all know what I'm talking about, read the news, but go ahead.
So we're not here to do that. Yeah. I'm just a witness, and I'm attempting to do my part to illustrate the humanity that exists.
And that was the conversation last night. I hosted the event with your niece, and it was about that, what you just said. We're no longer explaining who we are. We are who we are. We're a reflection of who you are as parents. But we're going to come, I'm going to close out with Rigo, and I'm going to bring you back. I want you to come back because you're going to wrap this piece up. Rigo, talk to us about the pieces that are in the exhibit and which one is probably the best expression of who you are. Hopefully you can hear us. All right, Derek.
He's gone.
Okay, he's in the Dominican Republic. I mean, he's chilling. Come on, look at that. He ain't thinking about y'all anyway. So I want to go back to what Ernest was about to do. The best interviews to me, Mama Alma, is when I see artists who are being interviewed and they ask them this question. So it's Prince there, Michael Jackson is there, it's Drake, it's Nas, and they say, who are you listening to? Who are the artists that you like? That's why I told you I'm about to go there. And I'm going to let you all close. So I want you all to have a conversation about the artists that are just sitting. You all spend a lot of time together. Brother Prettyman kicked it off with Poncho. First of all, Poncho and I did an event like in Park. I didn't know Poncho was that funny, man. This dude is a class clown. I did not know that. That's why he had to draw. So Ernest, you just kicked it off. I want to hear you all have a conversation amongst yourselves about being together. You've been together, you've observed each other's artwork. And Ernest, you just you jumped to Jeffrey Kent. I want you to share what you were about to share. And I want you all to do the exact same thing and maybe even ask your colleague that's next to you, Ainsley, what were you thinking about with it? Why did you all know the vocabulary, we don't know. We just paint with crayons. That's it, y'all just share here, right? So go ahead, what are you gonna say?
So Jeffrey may not know this.
Okay. Am I gonna cry?
I've learned more from Jeffrey.
There we go.
Indirectly and directly.
Okay.
About being an artist, a professional artist. The piece, first of all, the entire show is phenomenal.
Yes.
And just being a part of it. There's probably enough work downstairs for 3 shows.
Yes.
But his piece, No Threat, resonates with me.
Say it.
It almost brings me to tears because as we are all successful, right? We're winning.
Yes.
Right? We're alive and we get to make a contribution. As we get older, more credentialed, more experience, more education, I find myself in spaces where people I grew up with don't exist. My family members are not there. Members of my community, some of the people that I pray with, or practice, or venerate ancestors. The ancestors were there, but physically, so it's a very lonely existence. And oftentimes we're around people who don't look like us, who don't have our best interests in mind. And we have to navigate that. You talked about black manhood. I have to prove myself. You talked about that. How you have to prove yourself every day that you are worthy, not just to make a living, but to be. So his piece, No Threat, I think about when I'm in that classroom and children from all over the world looking at me. I'm their first black teacher and a black man. I'm a step.
Somebody else, let's talk about the artist work.
I have several thoughts about that, and I dwell on this a lot. I think that we subject, black expression to interrogation often, and so a lot of people have, I feel like I in my own life, been perceived as somewhat heroically black because of my proximity to white, and so, because I'm oftentimes the only black person in a lot of white spaces, and so, and I've oftentimes thought about, who gets to define how we get to express our blackness, and I've always cautioned people in black spaces, other black people, to be very careful on how you sort of interrogate people's way of expressing their blackness. And I say all this to actually give credit and honor to a person who just was not here. And because as I'm sitting and thinking about this subject, I remember a conversation about this man, Rigo, who we in the Valley, like Lions, he's like, for us, like the best artist in the Lehigh Valley. And when I first came to the Lehigh Valley, I was like, I saw his work, and we were like crazy. He is the Jedi Master, and we are all Padawans to that man who is no longer with us. He has his own gallery in the Lehigh Valley. It's Rigo Peralta gallery. I mean, people were in a space, but he has his own space. And he sits there with all of his work, on the walls. I mean, none of us can pull that off. It's like, the biggest swag move I think I've ever seen. And so I used to live a couple of blocks away from him, and I went to him while he was painting in the space. And he said to me that people forget that I'm black too. And it broke me. Oh my God, I almost cry because it broke my heart that he doesn't think that people see him as black. He's like Dominican, but he's not black. And so I feel like, looking at his work, I just kind of remember downstairs that that's a black man too.
Yes. So it's interesting you bring up Rigo, because Rigo and I had a great conversation, almost like you. Ainsley and I go way back, BC before children. Y'all missed that part. And when we were poets, though, we would take over the world. But I was downstairs because Rigo and I both speak Spanish, and we would talk about Brooklyn Moon Cafe. He had working, he was naming all the places that we would do spoken word poetry in the 90s.
Yeah.
And we just started talking, and he was like, I was there. My studio was next to, he was naming all this artwork. And so again, it's beautiful. We have this, anybody else want to just edify anybody that's on here about their artwork? Because you're doing, this is the part I want to hear. I love this. I want Poncho coming into Baltimore City. I would see this brother. I'm like, is it something, is he not painting everything? I mean, Poncho's, he was the first artist when I'm next to Jerry Prettyman, but Poncho's artwork was like, it was everywhere. It was so colorful. In my mind, the two things in my mind I'm a DJ in my mind. I'm a DJ, I really am. Can't mix it a lot, but I love music. And I'm a painter and artist in my mind. That's why I write poetry. But man, your artwork was so big and bold, man, and the colors were just bold.
I want to make a comment.
Go ahead.
And you did say was.
See, I told you, glass cloud right there. Go ahead.
I want to piggyback on what Jerry said. So, my journey wasn't to become the person I am today. It was way a whole nother direction. And while I was in that direction, that had nothing to do with the person I am today, I heard of this guy, okay? And I've seen his art before I was ever in the realm of becoming an artist. And I just always admired seeing this black, quote unquote, art on TV, in movie sets. And I'm like, wow, this guy's from Baltimore. And then, like Jerry said, this guy is everywhere. When I did get to meet him, he's right here for a minute. And he's like, yeah, man, I'm ready to go to California, I'm ready to go to Africa. I'm like, damn, this guy's an artist. And so, yeah, I just want to say that. It's Poncho.
Poncho, and then I'm going to take two questions from the audience. A question starts with a question. Y'all missed that part. And it ends with a question mark, I meant to say. I learned that from Tom Jordan. He's happy to write stuff down. So a question ends with a question. I'm going to take two questions. Go ahead, Poncho, then two questions from the audience, and then I'm going to pass the mic to, is it Alma or to, there we go. All right. Go ahead.
I'm going to keep mine brief because it's almost turned into a roast over here. But I will say, the Baltimore, what I love about this is that artists have a camaraderie that y'all don't know. Y'all see us individually, you see our successes, but y'all don't know that we are the craziest, dysfunctional, we're cousins, which means we love each other sometimes, we hate each other sometimes, we each other's faces, but let something happen, and any one of these guys will show up. I met this man right here. He could have easily dismissed me. I was probably 18 when I met him. He never did. He always treated me as an equal. I met this dude. He was putting work in vacant buildings on Charles Street. I'm like, who the hell is Jeffrey Kennedy? I met this dude hanging off the scaffold. No, that's a different story. But I'm just saying we have a history now. Al Johnson and I go way back. When you see this show and you see the artwork and you see how the artwork meld together, you see the same brotherhood in the artists themselves. This is a relationship-driven thing. It's something we don't talk about. We can talk about masculinity and the lack thereof because we're in a time now where it's easy to dismiss black masculinity. They came up with terms like toxic masculinity and all kinds of other things now where the voice of the African male probably is lower than it's been in a very, very long time. So when you get artists like this together and then you start to see what our inner thoughts are, hopefully they will resonate with you and maybe you'll have a little more patience with us as you understand why we have to fight through things every day. And so I want to thank you, since he said he's in there with me, for coming to participate in this. Make sure you tell your friends so they come and see it. But we are nothing without you. This room could be empty and it's full. We are all thankful. And we're also thankful for the support you gave us downstairs. And I just say the artists, as they try to erase our voice, we are actually all getting blacker. You can try to erase us, you can rewrite history books, but each one of us, if you see us next time, we'll all be 2 shades darker. And our work is getting darker. I remember a time when you couldn't do socially conscious work.
Yes.
And now the young artists, they come in with it. They're coming with it, and it's making us go, oh, okay, so I can say that now? Oh, just look out for the future, y'all.
Let's give it up. Questions general or a specific one, and any other question over there? I put it on because what's up, sister? Go ahead.
Good afternoon, my name is Mark, and my question is general. To any one of you, what actually influences how you price a piece?
How you what?
How you price a piece?
What influences how you price your
your artwork?
I'll be getting TED Talks with Howard. So, man. First of all, I don't know about the microphone. So I'm under the guidance that people don't need to know the value of my art. I don't use price on one. Unless they're gonna get it. That's my first thing. Okay, I don't think it's anyone's business what the value of art is. Art is to be appreciated and to be looked at and learned from. And the value has no consequence until it's being acquired. That's just my opinion. Okay? Now, the price is what a person pays. The value always gonna be the same or go better. Now, how do I come up with my values? The way I come up with it is based on the history of the work that I do in my art practice. And so, my values are really high. I'm the world's best fan of Jeffrey Kent. No one is a better fan of me. Okay? And so that's how I come up with my values. I value what I do, I value my time, I value my expertise, and I look and see what's in the world. I know my values.
That's what I learned from
Let's say that. Yes. Question over here.
Thank you. Nancy Blackwell from Clearfield Art Gallery.
Oh, well, tell me your art gallery. Come on. Tell me where it is.
1007 North Charles Street. I'm right around the corner. Several of you I've had the honor of having work in my gallery. Since your show has been up, I've sent so many young people over to see the show, to take it all in. My interns have come over, the artists that I have featured in my gallery now have come over. The one thing that everyone takes from the show is a level of excellence in presentation, in finishing a piece, in getting a piece to a gallery. My gallery features a lot of emerging artists, but everyone, the one thing that every single, especially young artist, has taken away is the quality. Can you all speak to, or just maybe have a quick conversation about how you come from, and this is from an artist's perspective, and I'm sitting next to one of my favorite artists right here.
Go ahead and introduce that Instagram, man. We know who that is.
Right here. And we have Dr. Smalls and just all the artists. But if you all could just speak a little bit to, especially the emerging artists, how you get to the place of just to the excellence.
Can I speak to this as a professor of art who teaches this to students regularly? That it is something that, like, I tell my students all the time that, it's not enough to have a great idea. You have to, make sure that it survives, especially past critique day. And it's often a problem. I can think of one in particular case with a brilliant young woman who loves to make installation work, and the work is amazing on print day. But it doesn't survive just longer than that, and so it really does benefit you as a young artist. I would say to think about the backing, how it's backed. It needs to be mountable. While your potential buyer will appreciate the surface quality, it might stand a varnish layer or two. So please make sure that it shines. Something that I would rather like in my own work. I always have a little bit of polish, to catch the eye. So I think that's actually something that I would tell a young person. Make sure it's mounted well. So you'd be surprised. I'm sure you'll see it in the gallery how many times a young person forgets to put on wiring on their work and leaves it to a gallerist. I feel like that's something that as a young artist, I have often forgotten to do. And so please make sure that it's mountable, and then ultimately for me, just make sure it's freaking dry. Keep it natural.
Poncho, close this out. I love it. Poncho, what's he saying?
I think for me, lighting is key. It is absolutely key, but without it, it changes the mood. In fact, one of the assignments I give students is to stand in a position by photographing a building at 7 o'clock in the morning. Come back at noon, photograph that same building at the same angle on a tripod, boom. And then come back again at 4 o'clock, and then again at maybe 7:30 that day. The building didn't move, but the lighting throughout the course of the day did. This is the beginning of getting quality and also looking. It's the art of really seeing. Once you have to, I think what happens is we walk by buildings so many times, we don't really look at it. But just slow down a little bit. Look at how the lighting is actually affecting the building. How about photographing people? Look how lighting begins to change the tone of that. Mood has an awful lot to do with it. All those key things begin to make a good quality piece of art. And that's just the beginning. But for me, it starts with lighting.
And to that, take your work outside of your studio so you can actually see what it looks like outside of your space.
Right. And then after you capture the image, that's not the end of it. Now you got to print it. Let's sit side by side, and make sure we get the right tones out of that. Whatever I saw in the camera, I want to be able to see in the print. That's a process. So it's meticulous, but that's the process.
Ainsley.
Lastly,
Ainsley and then
lastly, be honest. Be honest with yourself first. Accept what identify what your strength is, and be honest. All right. As being a creative person in this decade we're in right now, it's a responsibility. It's not a freaking hobby.
Yes.
It's a responsibility. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to explain it. You're supposed to share it. You're supposed to be involved in it, and not be afraid of the person next to you. That's all I got.
For the emerging artists, when you deal with a presentation, right? A lot of times I think people present the work based on who they're targeting, right? So if you're saying, hey, I am emerging and I want XYZ to buy my art, you're gonna present it a certain way. But if you think I'm emerging, well, they'll present it like that. So it's like, I try to show up most of the times, like, today is my best day. Like, this is the day that the person that I've been dreaming of coming in and seeing my work is gonna show up. And if I have to apologize for how the work look on the wall, it's not gonna be on the wall. And that's my goal. If I have to be like, if you have to do that, don't put it up.
It's got dry.
Yeah, you have to.
Poncho, close us out.
When I first started, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I was only working with 2 generations of artists. And now it's like there's 4 generations of artists. I know artists as young as 18 and as mature as 95 in the same marketplace. What I will say is that you spoke to Black excellence. You talked about professionalism. Let's talk about discipline and pride. How do you take a piece that you want to make $500 off of and the frame is falling off? How do you take an unstretched canvas to a gallery and the edges are not done? How do you not pack it properly for delivery or pickup? See, these are you might say these are, not important things, but if I'm organizing a show as a curator, and I see it big time now, and 75 artists submit work, and more than 1/3 of them need work on the framing, what are you saying? So it's a pride thing, but you got to turn that in. When it's hanging on the wall, it represents you and other people. And the last thing we need is for a distraction or anything to happen just because you didn't pay attention or weren't being disciplined enough. When you walk downstairs, it's not like we're sitting down with a white glove going around the edges of our work. We are at a particular level of understanding what the responsibility is to share work to the public. And so sometimes you got to step outside yourself. When you're an artist, we have a particular lax way of living that doesn't apply to that wall. And so if you're stuck in where you are as an artist, to get outside of your head and realize that once that artwork is done, it represents you, it represents your lineage, it represents your ancestors and everything else. And when you take that paradigm into the gallery, you'll never worry about your work being out of place.